If there's one particular moment in Roman's defeat that nobody is talking about enough, it's when he hit Seth instead of Cody with the steel chair. This was low-key the real reason he lost his world championship at WrestleMania. And that moment has so many layers of storytelling which goes deeper than you think, as it's actually the curse of the Shield. In addition to that, the fact that Seth once said he would be Cody's Shield and actually delivered on his promise by recreating a moment that has haunted Roman till this day. However, to understand the full picture and story, let's explore with how it all began. 10 years ago, the Shield was coming off their second victory over Evolution, and it looked as though they were moving on towards a new feud. However, now on the infamous 2nd June episode of Raw in 2014, Seth did something that everyone still talks about to this day. With Triple H at the top of the ramp announcing to the world that he has a plan B, Seth turned on Roman and Dean, splitting the faction that had dominated WWE and achieved massive success in less than 2 years. So the shot of Seth hitting the chair on Roman's back and him falling on the bottom rope is iconic to many fans. Whilst many believed that Roman was going to be the one to turn heel, the company had other ideas. Roman was meant to be the next John Cena, so after the Shield broke up, Roman tried to win the approval of the fans, but he was always met with hatred from the die-hard pro wrestling fans. And while he finally found great success in the form of the Tribal Chief gimmick, it's no secret that he's still bothered by the abrupt end of one of the greatest factions of all time. Roman had a large mountain to climb when the Shield ended. His former teammates were thriving on the other end in terms of fan reactions. While Roman was the company's hand-picked megastar, Seth and Dean Ambrose were loved by the fans. And it was apparent that Roman wasn't ready to be the face of the company back in 2014. And his mannerism clearly expressed his disdain in the way he was being booked on TV. And in the A&E biography that aired about him, Roman expressed that he didn't want the Shield to break up at all.
I didn't want to break up the Shield, and I definitely didn't want to be a good guy. And that's exactly what was happening. I was so young on the rise that it's not like I had a nest egg built up. It's not like I had a whole bunch of options that I could just say, no, I'm not feeling this. This doesn't feel good to me, or I wouldn't say this.
But considering he was fairly new in the company, he didn't have many options when it came to speaking out. Within the documentary, he would further state that it felt as though no one had his back. And since he had a family to look after, he decided to stick it out and make the best out of a bad situation.
When you don't have that backup, when you don't have that you money, and you can't just stand on your heart, and your family's depending on you, your livelihood is depending on you, so you have to just be a good soldier and do what you're told.
This is why so many of his promos were so damn terrible, and the weight of proving that he could be the #1 guy in the company was crushing him. And it's apparent because when the Shield did reunite a few times in 2017 and 2019, Roman always seemed confident. He was always at his best when he had his brothers by his side, and Seth Rollins was aware of this fact, and he wasn't afraid to use it to his advantage to bring down Roman whenever he had the chance. Roman Reigns finally became the top guy that he was destined to be when he turned heel in 2020. It's because the head of the table gimmick was a breath of fresh air, not only for Reigns, but for the TV shows too. As for Seth Rollins, during this time, he was also a heel, and he was doing amazing as well. That being said, Roman's Universal Championship run saw him decimate every single opponent that was put in front of him. So by the time we approached 2022's Royal Rumble event, Seth Rollins was announced as the next challenger for Roman's title. And the architect didn't waste any time in letting Roman know that he didn't regret breaking up the Shield.
Like I said, man, water under the bridge.
Water under the bridge? Okay. Well, what about the time I took a steel chair to your back and changed the game forever?
Breaking up the Shield. I tried to forgive you. I really have. But I'll never forgive you for what you did to us.
And it was actually him and Dean Ambrose who carried Roman to greatness. And the mind games, they continued when Seth came out to the Shield's theme music at the Royal Rumble event while donning the famous Shield attire. And Roman lost his mind when he saw this.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
And because of it, Roman couldn't focus on the match. In the end, Reigns' hatred for Seth ended the match via disqualification, giving Seth the win and giving Roman his first loss in almost 2 years. That being said, 2 years later, Seth would use the same mind game to put down the bloodline for good. When The Rock turned heel and joined the Bloodline, it prompted the next part of this story. As Cody took his rightful place in the main event spot back from him, it meant that Rhodes was one man down and in desperate need of some help, and this came in the form of Seth Rollins. Despite the differences with Rhodes, he joined him in his quest to bring down the Bloodline. And whether you think he was booked right or not, Seth did an amazing job in explaining why he needed to be a part of the whole thing. He would go on to explain that he was kind of responsible for Roman becoming this monster that had been on top for so many years now. So yeah, the Shield breaking up took a massive toll on Roman, but Rollins also. So when he promised that he'll be Cody's Shield at Mania, it gave a subtle hint as to what would happen at the main event.
I taught him everything I know. I am partly responsible for the man that he is, but I could have never imagined the monster that he has become. There is only one man on Earth who is uniquely suited to be your shield.
And all of this led to the main event of night 2, as Cody assembled his Avengers, and one by one the Bloodline members were going down. And this prompted the final boss, The Rock, to make his way down. And just before he could have beaten up Rhodes, the crowd exploded when they heard the Shield's theme music play in the arena. And my personal reaction was like,
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
Rollins came out in full Shield attire, and before he could strike The Rock with the steel chair, Roman took him down. This led The Undertaker to make an appearance and take out The Rock, which meant that there were only 3 members left in the ring with a steel chair, that being Roman, Rollins, and Cody. With both babyfaces on the floor and helpless, Roman had one final decision to make. Option 1, pick up the chair and hit Cody with it and end the match. Or option 2, the only option Roman still thinks about till this day, the time when Rollins hit him with the steel chair all those years ago. He never wants his family to go through the same trauma that he's been through. And you could see the anguish on his face as he's torn between what the right decision to do is. But the bad times got the best of Reigns. His facial expression told a beautiful story. Instead of focusing on Rhodes, Roman hit Rollins with the steel chair, just like Rollins did to him all those years ago. And this was enough for Cody to recover and win the match. Rollins knew that to this day, Roman's weak point was the trauma that was caused by the breakup of the Shield. He could have finished Rhodes, but seeing Rollins in the same spot he was 10 years ago was enough for Reigns to lose his mind. This is the definition of long-term storytelling, and I'm glad it's back on WWE programming after so long. And WWE, true to perfect storytelling, show an epic moment between Seth and Cody as they shake each other's hand, acknowledging the roles that each of them played. And as for Roman, we see a shot of a broken man walking up the ramp, being passed by all the babyfaces in the company, all the babyfaces he has beaten, and all the babyfaces that refuse to acknowledge him, as he's no longer the tribal chief of WWE. He's just a man that couldn't get over the curse of the Shield.